Welcome back. So we have the second half of our Gaijin anniversary birthday sale thing going on. And there's a few neat things here. I'm going to try to make this one quicker than the last one. I don't think we're going to go through every single squad. We'll try to just hit the highlights. So starting from the top, there's a 50% discount on all premium squads for gold, except for squads added in the most recent update. That's normal, that's how it always is. On top of that, there's a 30% discount for some temporarily available squads. That's the two Pacific Sniper squads, the MG45 for Germany, and the AKT for the USSR. And then there's also going to be a 30% discount on Battle Pass weapons, vehicles, and soldiers. So, number one, I would personally not bother getting any unique soldiers. I probably wouldn't get unique vehicles either. There are some exceptions, but the soldiers have gotten better over the years. Like, they give you a 20% XP bonus now. They didn't do that before. Their stats are better. They used to have random stats. So, they have gotten better, but I still don't really think they're worth 500 gold. So that's just me. I would advise you stay away from them. But, it's your gold. You do what you want with it. I kind of feel the same way with the vehicles. 800, 840, whatever, gold is kind of a lot. And you don't actually get the vehicle right away. What you get is a maxed out vehicle with a cool camo that you can put on the squad. So if you don't have the squad associated with that vehicle, then you can't use it until you research that squad. So it's not like you can skip through most of the tech tree and just go straight to like a Chinu or go straight to the Key 84, for example. I already have it, so it's not on the list there. Where I think that this is actually valuable is with the unique Battle Pass weapons, because there's some really cool unique things like the sword pistol, for example. But there's also, in some of the other tech trees, some really useful, really practical things, like the Breda PGCR or the FN Model 1930, just to name a couple of them. I've been trying to decide what I want to do with my gold orders, so this may not really apply to me. I'm kind of waiting for the next Battle Pass to see what's going away and what's coming in. But a few of the highlights to me, the RPK-43, for BR2 for Russia, I really like, since a lot of the BR2 machine guns, in my opinion, are terrible, especially the Madsen. That's really the standout for me with the USSR. The Yazakov seems neat, and the Bezruchko is okay. It's kind of like a intermediate between the PPS 42 and 43, but the thing is the 42 and the 43 are independently so good that it's really just like a flavor difference. There may be other ones that I can't see just because I already have them. The Gorov is kind of forgettable. It's cool, but I really just got it for a meme loadout. And the SVT with the boob is kind of cool, just because you get more ammo. It could be fun to pick up the suppressed weapons just to fuck around, though. With the Americans, the Bren seems neat, but it is a BR2 machine gun at BR5. It just has more ammo and a different sight, so I don't know. And the T20 has been outdated now since you can get it in the tech tree with a bayonet. The E5 is cool. The Farkar Hill, if you're going to play at BR4, is actually pretty good. And I like the War, but the War is really just a side grade to the bars. But I like it because it looks like a giant M1, M2 carbine. I have not messed with any of the others in here, so your mileage may vary with them. And then with Germany, the Breda PGCR is really good. The FN Model 1930 is really good. The Mondragon's fine. It's similar to the SVT that the Russians get, and the Farkar Hill that the Americans get. they all kind of came in at the same time. It's just a BR4 semi-auto with a lot of extra ammo. The Scotty's alright. No complaints. I use it from time to time, but it doesn't really stand out to me either. And the Lati Salaranta, I actually use these quite a bit at BR2. One of my APC squads usually gets the pair of them that I have. They're really just something different. They do have a lot of recoil. They're probably not that great, but I do just like them. And I've been tempted to pick up some Pavesi SVTs. I just think that they're cool. But that just about does it. The FN Model 1930, I think, used to have more value for Japan, but now that they've got the Key 7 in their tech tree, I'm not sure it really matters. And the sword pistol is the sword pistol, which kind of makes it the best thing in the game. So, moving on from there, for returning squads, you can't see it here, but the Bush Wookiees are back for Japan. They are a sniper squad. And if you like snipers, or if you feel like you need a sniper squad, they're fine. No complaints. I like their scope more than I like the infield scope. I also like that they actually are in leaf schmucks, I guess. Camo smocks. Ghillie suits. They do kind of stand out, but if you get them in the right position on a map, they don't have to. I think the real benefit to them is that it's a 5-man sniper team where everybody gets a sniper. It's an engineer, 4 snipers. Engineer gets a sniper, but he can also build shit. So if snipers are your thing and you want some for Japan, they're not a bad pickup. Moving on from there with Japan, I would skip the Chi-He. If I was going to get a tank, I would have gotten the Chi-Ha last week. The Type 100 Paratrooper SMG, I assume, is on sale, because I don't think it was last week. They're pretty good. I like them. To be honest, I think that they're not worth picking up, because they're going to get power crept immediately, because you get access to Type 100s and MP28s pretty much immediately. But as far as a low-tier premium squad goes, they're not bad. I used them a lot more than I used the one that was on sale last week with the Type 1 or the Type 2. And I've used them even at, like, BR4, for example, so I think they do fine. The Type Co, they have some of the best-looking uniforms in the Japanese tech tree, but they're an engineer squad, so I'd probably skip out on them. I think the real standout thing that I would pick up from this tech tree if I was going to pick up anything is the Key 61 here. I think it's a pretty cool plane. It comes with a pair of bombs, so you can deal shit on the ground. They're only 100 kilos, but they actually do work pretty well. And then they get a pair of German MG-151 cannons and a pair of Japanese 50 cals. So, it's a cool plane. It'll get the job done. Americans like bringing lots of planes, and this can go toe-to-toe with them. I'd pretty much ignore everything else here. Moving on to Germany. I have a lot of German stuff, so I don't know exactly what all is going to be available. But we'll go top to bottom, I guess. And then we'll go through... Well, actually, let's go through the shop first. So, in the shop, I would skip the BF-110. The Beretta 88 is something I've looked at a bit for low BR. It might actually be decent because of its bomb load, because it's got 3 100 kilo bombs. But I've never seen anybody actually use it, so take it with a grain of salt. I'd skip out on most premium fighters because most of them don't have any sort of good ground attack capability. And if they don't have ground attack capability, then you're just bringing them on the off chance that the enemy brings a plane. Now, the Americans do bring a lot of planes, but the Americans also have lots of matches where they just don't. So, take it with a grain of salt. Panzer III M, very, very good. I don't have it. A lot of my friends do. It's got the long 50. It's up armored. At BR2, it's going to do well. Can deal with tanks well. Can deal with infantry okay. If you can't deal with infantry, you can always take a second tank if you've got the extra slots and bring something with the short 75 to back it up. So one specializes in AT and one specializes in anti-infantry. But even if you're only going to bring a single tank at BR2, Panzer 3M is going to serve you very, very well. I would recommend. The Irma EMPs, eh. There are other ways to get Irma EMPs these days. They have the suppressed ones that, I don't know if they're still, I don't think they're still in the Battle Pass shop, but they used to be. So, I guess it's not quite as accessible as it once was, but it's like a 4-man assault squad. You could probably add a 5th guy on as an engineer. It's like a legacy upgrade. I probably wouldn't fuck with them. Same with the Stug A. They do have the short 75, but eh. You don't have a machine gun on it, and you're hull locked. I'd probably stay away from it. Now, the flak bus is something that I've considered picking up. It's BR4 though, and you can get a Tiger 1H at BR4. I feel like it's a meme vehicle. Like, I feel like it's cool, but I feel like it's probably terrible. But like I said, I don't personally have it, but its nature of being open-topped and, like, very exposed open-topped means you're going to get shot from, like, you're going to be looking, you're probably going to park it sideways. You're going to be looking, like, over here, and, like, Johnny over here is going to be picking off your crew with his M1 Grand, and Billy over here with his bar is going to be picking off your crew. And then Bubba's going to be flying in his plane, and he's going to drop, like, some HVARs, and they're going to hit way back here by this, like, red tree, and it's going to kill your whole crew. So, I kind of personally want to pick it up just because I think it's a meme vehicle, and I think using the proxy fuse, timed fuse, whatever it has, because it does have, like air bursting shells. I just want to get it to shoot down planes. But, I don't know if it's really worth it. I would probably stay away from it. I think you just have better options. Now, the MG45 squad's interesting. This is another squad that I'm tempted to pick up. Basically, it's an experimental MG42, and as I recall, it's got nutty fire rate. It's 1,500 rounds a minute. Which is just absolute fucking bonkers fire rate. I know it doesn't have the ammo capacity that I would want, but it's a squad that I've kind of wanted for a long time to compare to the MG42 early that I do have, and the MG15 in the tech tree. And I just think it could be a fun squad, and it's BR4, so there you go. It only has one engineer versus the MG42 early squad, but it still has 5 guys who all carry machine guns. Plus, I think they look kind of cool with their, like, hooded uniforms. I may end up picking them up. We'll see. If I do, expect a video about them. I really do want to compare them, though, to the other machine gun squads. Now, getting into the tech tree itself, assuming that the Machado boys are available, they're a rifle squad. They're cool, but eh. I think the real cool factor with them is the San Marco dagger and their uniform. The gun itself is fine, but it's a BR1 rifle squad. It's all 9 riflemen, nothing but riflemen, so I generally would stay away from stuff like this. However, there is a caveat here in that even though you can't put specialists on a 9-man rifleman squad, and that part does kind of suck, what you can do is take their backpacks off and give them the upgrade for second primary, and you can scale them into BR 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, and you can give them all like FG42 2s, for example, and you can still run them as like a 9-man rifleman squad at BR 5. Now, like I said, you're giving up on having an engineer and an AT soldier, which I think are really, really valuable at BR 5. But you're still a 9-man squad, so you're still a massive squad, and it's going to be a lot of firepower if you do bring them. So, it's up to you. I think there are worse pickups, but it's not something I would necessarily recommend. But they can be fun. The Panzer 38T I don't personally have, and back in the day, I used to think it would have been a pretty cool pickup. These days, not so much. just because I think there are better options at BR2, like the Panzer IIIM, for example. Because BR1 is going to see BR2. Yeah, BR2 can see 3, but I feel like the jump from 2 to 3 is smaller than the jump from 1 to 2. There's some really, really good tanks and really, really good guns at BR2, and most of the tanks at BR1 are pretty much trash, in my opinion. The 75-32 is probably the exception to that in the German tech tree. So, it's an option if you want a cheap premium, but I think you'd be better off picking up the Panzer IIIM. They're new. That's a pack. The Gewehr 41M, it's basically the same as the Machado boys, but with semi-autos, so all the same things are true. If you think they're worthwhile, then maybe they're worthwhile to you, but rifleman squads don't really do it for me. Then we've got the TZ-45 squad. It's a squad I've looked at a lot in the past. My, test drives with it, where you go into the practice mode and try them out, lead me to believe that the gun is kind of iffy. Statistically, it looks okay. 18 is pretty high for horizontal recoil. It feels like they spray a lot. If you're looking for a BR3 assault squad, they're probably going to serve you fine. Plus, they look kind of cool. I don't know. I've never gotten them. They never felt like they were really worth it for me. But I'm also biased against assault squads. So, it might be something that you're into. Generally speaking, I normally would go for paratroopers and half-tracks, but the sale for paratroopers and half-tracks is over, so speaking in this week as a vacuum, they're probably a decent pickup if you play BR3. Moving on to the Stug 3G. The Stug 3G basically has all the same problems as the Stug 3A. It's got a better gun, but it's the same gun that you find on other tanks at its tech tree that actually have turrets, and you don't have a machine gun. So it gets a pass from me. It's a cool-looking tank, but it needs a machine gun. And to be 100% honest, it probably should be down a BR because it's a hull lock tank. And it's like, why bring a Stug 3G when you can bring a Panzer 4G? Or Panzer IV F2, or a Panzer IV-J, you get the idea. Or even a Panzer IV-H, but you do have to go up to BR4 for that. And I wouldn't really bring it at BR4 when I can bring Panthers. Moving on from there, there's the Garot 03s. These guys are BR5. I've always felt like them being BR5 was a little bit scuffed. I feel like they would fit better at BR4. Their big selling point is the Garot 03. It's a semi-auto rifle. It has like a 20-round magazine. It's cool. And back in the day, it probably held more value, but I don't know. You can get other rifleman squads for less. I'm sure the Machado boys are priced similarly to the Gewehr 41, but the Gewehr 41 is less than these guys. And the thing is, at BR4, having semi-auto rifles would be pretty alright. Because obviously it holds more than a Gewehr 43, and it might be more usable than the ZH-29. But, if I'm comparing the Garot to an FG-42 too, the FG-42-2 is automatic. I can throw it on semi-auto. I don't see the benefit. It's 14.4 damage versus, I assume, 13-ish. 13.4 maybe. I don't know. I think they're cool. It's a squad that I've looked at many times in the past and been like, oh, maybe I should grab those guys. But, I don't know, man. I don't think they really do it for me. I think they should be BR4. If they were BR4, I think I'd be way more interested in them. Now, if you're going to pick up any assault squad for Germany, the Suomi boys are probably it. They're at BR5, so, if you're not at BR5, or if you don't like playing BR5, it's an automatic disqualifier for them. But they have the Suomi KP31, which is kind of like a PPSH, but different. It's a really good gun, though. I picked them up a few times in battle. I've always had a good time with them. People always seem to really like the squad. It is an assault squad, but given that the alternatives are not available right now, that's pretty much, in my opinion, your best infantry option right now. Like, BR for BR, I think you've got the Panzer III-M, I think you've got the Suomi boys, and then you get the Focke-Wulf D9, if you're interested in planes. Now, the Focke-Wulf D9 is going to be a fighter, I believe. Yeah, it's going to be a fighter, whereas the one in the tech tree is an attacker. And the one in the tech tree gets bigger bombs, this one gets more of them. So they're only 50 kilo bombs, but you have like 8 of them, so you can carpet bomb an area, and you can flex into being a pretty decent fighter. You are Focke-Wulf, so you're not going to have the best turn time. It's not terrible, but there are much, much better turning fighters, but you are pretty quick. I think the downside is most of the maps in Enlisted don't feel large enough, and the flight model doesn't feel like boom and zooming really works. But it's something that you can do. I just don't feel like in War Thunder or in DCS or in IL-2, I feel like you can come in, you can drop on a guy, you can shoot at him, and then you can fuck off and get out of range of his guns before he gets the chance to shoot at you. I don't feel like that actually works in Enlisted. I feel like the difference in speed doesn't feel as significant most of the time. If somebody tries that on me, I can just slot in behind them and shoot them. But I've seen other people use it successfully. It's something I've considered grabbing before just to make like a peak degeneracy style air loadout for Germany, because it would fit into the fighter role really, really well, since it can double as a ground attacker, and having 850 kilo bombs to just blanket an area is going to be pretty dirty. So I think I would recommend the D9. I think I'd recommend the Suomi boys, and then probably the Panzer IV-M and potentially the MG45 squad. I think they sound interesting. The thing is, they're going to be really similar to the Mountaineer event squad that we got with the machine guns 2 months ago in August, where you're going to have really good trigger discipline, and they're going to need large ammo bags, and even then they're going to be running out of ammo constantly. So personally, I probably pick up the MG45 squad. That's probably all I'll grab personally, but there are options here for things that you may or may not be interested in. Moving on to America, in their shop, you've got the... Now, hang on, I looked at these guys last week. BR2, there we go. I don't know, all the American engineers, they're all the same to me. But you've got BR2 engineers. It's a 4-man squad. As far as I know, they haven't added a legacy slot onto the engineer squads, but since I don't really pick up the engineer squads, I don't know. So if you do know, you can comment down below. But I do know that the one that was on sale last week has a radio operator that can call in, these guys, the 30R squad. They have an engineer, or not an engineer, radio operator in addition to the 4 engineers, and he can call in rocket artillery. These guys, I don't think that they get anything like that. I think it's just a 4-man engineer squad, but I could be wrong. Personally, I would stay away from them, though. I don't think 4-man engineer squads are worth a damn. Then you've got the Hurricane Mark IV. It's got 40 mils. I'm pretty sure they only fire AP. I just don't remember. I know it's not a popular aircraft, and I think the reason was that it either only fires AP or it only fires HE. I just don't remember which. I feel like if it fired HE, it would be popular for CAS, because you could just pop infantry, but I think it just fires AP. I think it's meant to be like an anti-tank plane, or like an anti-bomber plane. I don't remember, though, but it's not popular. I've never flown it. I've just done, test drives of it. And then the AC-1, I believe it's BR2. Yeah, BR2. It's probably fine. It has a 40 mil, so it's not the biggest gun in the world, but for a low BR tank with a 50 mil front and a 65 mil turret face, it's actually probably going to do all right. The only thing I'll say is I have the hell's that thing called? The Matilda. I have the Matilda, and this thing is similar to the Matilda in like its armament, and I feel like the Matilda's gun is often underwhelming. So I suspect that the gun on the AC will also be underwhelming, but you're probably going to be a little bit more mobile, so that might help. So going left to right, you've got the Stun Mark III squad, their Legacy Premium squad. You can slot an engineer in there, and then you've got 4 assaulters. They're okay. I'd probably skip them. Same with the Risings. The Risings were from the launch of the Pacific, back when we had campaigns. They're okay. They're really nothing to write home about. I feel like you're better off with the Tech Tree Stens, plus you've got the Tech Tree Rising. It's kind of the issue with both of these. Like, I feel like the Sten squad is probably the better of the two. But you're going to get very similar performance. It's just going to look a little different, because I'm pretty sure this is like the welded Sten. Moving on from there, you've got the Premium P51. This one's the one with 100-pound bombs. I would skip it. I don't think 100-pound bombs are worth it. I mean, it's going to be good at fighting planes at BR2, but you're pigeonholing yourself into depending on the enemy team playing into your win condition, and I don't like doing that. I'm just going to assume that these guys are a gold squad. These guys are excellent. They're not a rocket artillery squad, but they are very cool. These Turner SMLEs are really good. They're really, really hard-hitting semi-automatic rifles, and they hold like 10 rounds. And because they're all, except for the engineer, they're all radio operators, you have a second weapon slot available by default. So I often flex them up into BR5, giving them M2s in their second slot. So you have the Turner SMLE for long range and for like mid range, and then when you want to push buildings, you can pull out the M2. They do great at BR3 as well, so I like them. They're excellent. I would recommend them. The M24, I've been meaning to make a video about this. I picked it up in the spring. TLDR, it's BR2. It's got the gun off of Sherman, so it's got an effective gun. It can provide effective firepower wherever you need it. It's mobile. It's quick. All in all, it seems like a pretty decent tank, but in the context of Enlisted, it's a little bit subpar, and it's purely because mobility is not valuable in Enlisted. If the maps were a little bit bigger, if you could outflank more, or if there were better like mobility positions where you could sprint out, get in them, and be relatively safe from them, or like peek-a-boom from them, maybe. But by and large, a lot of the tank engagements, in my experience in Enlisted, end up being like straight up front to back engagements. So the front of your hull can't deal with being shot. You only have like 25 mils of armor, 38 on the turret. So pretty much any AT weapon that looks at you is going to go through you. I think it's cool. I think it can be worth picking up, but I also think you need to understand the limitations of it if you're going to pick it up, in that you can't just sit there and let the enemy shoot at you, because they'll just kill you. Like, for example, the back of this tank has like 19 mils of armor. I have had people build heavy machine guns behind it and kill the whole crew of the tank before. Okay? So, you're mobile, you have to play around that mobility. And if you're not able to, either because of the map limitations or because it's just not a playstyle you're interested in, then this is not a tank for you. So moving on from there, the FP5 is awesome. It gets 4 HVAR rockets, and a drop tank. Now, the drop tank's kind of a meme. You can use it a little bit for area denial, but the HVARs at BR3 are really good, and as a fighter against other planes, it performs really well. The 16-second turn time really helps it out. The 650 cals work fine. You do have to sit on target for a little bit, but that's fine. It's a good plane. I like it. I would recommend it. BR3, the Churchill, I don't have. It is a 57 mil cannon. It's slow as shit, and I don't know. Like 89 mils of armor is pretty good, but it's also like very flat armor. It's a tank that I've always kind of wanted to pick up, but I've never actually picked it up. But now that BR3 can potentially get into BR4 only matches or play down into BR2 only matches, it probably performs pretty well. Like if you're at BR2-3, it probably performs really well. And if you are playing up to BR4, it probably gets blown up. Like you're potentially running into Tiger 2Hs and Panthers, and I'm pretty sure they can blow through you. The Mosquito is another plane that I don't have, but every time I've looked at it, it looks like it's pretty good. So it's coming in with 2 500-pound bombs. I don't know if they drop individually. They might not, but it's going to be a pretty decent strike plane. The Hispano 20 mils hit like freight trains. They're really good at taking out other planes. Sometimes they're good at taking out infantry and light vehicles. I don't think it would be a bad pickup. Like, BR for BR, I feel like the FP5 is better, but you're going to have to be more precise if you want to take out vehicles with the FP5, whereas with 500-pound bombs, you can kind of just slap them at the tank and you can usually kill it. And I'm fairly sure that the Jumbo is available for gold. The Jumbo is a very available tank these days. You can get it from the BR shop, you can get it in the tech tree. If you didn't pick up the Sherman Firefly last week, it might be worth picking up the Jumbo if you're going to play BR4. If you're going to play BR5, I think it's a dodge. But at BR4, yeah, it's okay. I think the highlights of this tech tree are going to be the planes, the Mosquito, and the FP5. They're both going to be excellent. The Turner SMLE is going to be fantastic. That's probably what I would look at. I mean, I'm tempted to look at the Churchill 3, but, you know, it's like your mileage may vary kind of vehicle. Moving on to the USSR, the AKT-40 squad is back, and they're like a lot of the other rifleman squads. However, they are BR4, and they have fully automatic rifles. And that alone, I think, gives them a lot of value. So you can get weapons just like this one in the tech tree. Okay? You got the AVT-40, the AVS-36, right? Here's the thing. Both of them are BR5. This is BR4. The downside is this only has a 10-round magazine. So you're losing a third of the magazine off of those, but you're going down a BR. So if you play strictly BR4, I think that they're worth it, because you potentially can get into BR3 games, and if you play up to BR5, you're still going to be in an alright position. Plus, I think it's a pretty cool looking rifle. But, you know, all the normal downsides with riflemen, so they're not going to have specialists, and then once you get to BR5, your weapons are kind of outclassed. But they're similar enough that I don't think I would ever bother giving them a second primary, because I don't think they actually gain anything from that. Moving on from there, we've got the KV-2 1940. Personally, I think it's a pass. The KV-2 is in the tech tree now. The main difference between the two of them is that the KV-2 1939 does not get a machine gun, whereas the KV-2 1940 does get a machine gun. There may also be some minor armor differences, but generally speaking, I would not bother with this. I think that the KV2 in the tech tree is very, very specialized. Like, it's really good at killing infantry, but it's got a sluggish, like, abysmally slow reload time. And on top of that, it also has a very difficult time dealing with enemy armor. So either your team has to be on top of their AT game, or you're probably gonna have a bad day. So I would avoid it. Now the BM 824 is an MLRS. It's mobile rocket artillery. It's a BR2. I very, very rarely see them. I feel like it could be a fun tank, but it is absolutely a meme tank. And I feel like if they were good, I would probably see them from time to time. Like, the Panzerwerfer is kind of a meme, but it's actually really good, even though it's, like, quality of life, like, usability, is really, really, really bad. But when you actually do get in a good position and you can shoot its, like, Werfer grenade at people, it does really good. So I feel like this probably is okay. It's probably more of a meme vehicle. I've never picked it up, but I've often looked at picking it up. I would probably pass on it. And then we have the PP Dolganov. And basically it's an assault squad. It's got okay fire rate. Think like MP40 fire rate. Like, I think the best comparison is like an MP40 with a drum mag. They're fine. I don't have them. I've picked them up in game a few times. They're not bad, but like they're pretty forgettable. Plus they're a legacy squad, so you're gonna put on a normal engineer. So take that as you will. Yeah, probably pass on just about everything here, except for maybe the AKT. But the AKT you're gonna be paying a premium for because it's a premium squad that's gone away. Looking at the tech tree, if the PPT 27's around, look, they're a legacy premium squad. They're BR1. I don't normally recommend assault squads, but I actually really, really like these guys. I might do a video on them soon. I've had them forever. They used to be in the Elite Starter, and they're awesome. I really like them. The BA-11 as a very low BR tank is kind of cool. It's kind of a meme vehicle. I hesitantly like it. Like, it's got the same gun as the T-50, but you have zero armor. You're very easy to kill. You're not super mobile. Like, it's a meme vehicle. I got it because I couldn't get it in War Thunder, because I didn't want to pay like $1,000 or $500 or whatever the people were selling it for in the market back in the day. The Mosin M44 late squad, I would pass on. They're the same as all the other rifleman squads. The problem is, versus like the Machado boys, these guys have nothing unique about them. They're just M44 rifles. Like, it's basically the same as the M44 carbine. Like, there's virtually zero difference between these two weapons. This squad is really, really cool. This is a squad I would recommend. There's only 4 of them, and I don't like that there's only 4 of them. I wish there were 5. I wish they had an engineer. They're basically just a knockoff assault squad, but they're really cool because they're the Soviet female medic squad, and they're one of like 2 squads in the game like that. The other one is the Po-2 squad with the Night Witches, and I don't think they're available right now. But from just like a historical perspective, I think they're really, really cool. They show a side of the Soviet military that a lot of games miss, and I think them being in the game is just really cool. Plus, the PPSH-2, from what I've picked up and used, is actually a pretty good weapon. I don't think it really gains anything over the PPS-42, but I think it's cool. Like, they're basically statistically going to do the same thing. But that means it's going to be a good gun. It is a side grade, though, and you probably will stop using them pretty quickly. They're more of a collector squad than anything else, but I think they're really cool. The SU-76 is okay. It's got a pretty good gun at BR2. It actually fits into this whole theme that I've discussed before about wanting tanks to be a BR, like AT guns to be a BR lower than like what their counterparts would be. Because it's got a ZIS 3 on it, and I don't think you're gonna find a ZIS 3 on anything until BR3 normally. Um, like I think the equivalent guns are BR3. So basically, you're gonna have like a proper 76 mil gun, kind of like what you might find on like a T-34 or KV-1, but at BR2. Now this is in real life like an AT gun slash artillery piece. It does fine as an AT gun in Enlisted. It does fine at killing infantry in Enlisted. It's like any other 75 or 76 that you've ever used before. So it's open-topped. That is absolutely a downside to it. And you can absolutely shoot into the crew from the back. You're vulnerable to explosions, to fire, all the things. So it's something that you need to understand its limitations going into it, but I don't think it's a bad vehicle. Then, as far as the P63 goes, this one, it's BR4, so but it does get a Fab 250, so you can do worse with the premium plane. It turns pretty well. It's got pretty good armament. It can deal with planes alright. It can deal with people on the ground alright. Like, I think you can do worse than picking up a P63. So, between that and the Yak 9, I would probably pick up the P63. The Yak 9's neat. It's kind of a meme vehicle with its 45, but eh. The SKT-40 squad, I would actually consider. If you like snipers, because you're going to get the 5-man team, 4 engineers, 4 snipers rather, 1 engineer. I can think. I have a brain. I'm rubbing the brain cells together. The downside is, like, Russia can get the SVT-38 in the tech tree, and last week they had the BR2 radio guys available, these guys. And these guys are basically a sniper squad at BR2 with semi-autos, so I feel like a lot of the value that this squad has just isn't really there. So I would skip it, but if you really like snipers, then this is probably a good option for you. The PPSH-41 Parkerized, it's an assault squad. The PPSH-41s, they're BR5. It's literally the same thing that's in the tech tree. They do look cool, though, because they're naval infantry. I would skip them, but if you're looking for, like, a BR5 premium lineup, like, maybe. I would probably skip them, though. Then there's the T-34-85E. I would skip it. You basically have access to the same thing in the tech tree. We already talked about the KV-2. The AS-44 Paratrooper Squad, this squad I would absolutely pick up. I don't know what they're running for right now, but if they're on sale, and they should be because, they're more than 1 patch old, like, this is the squad more than any other squad in this tech tree. Pick up this squad. If you're going to play Russia, pick up this squad. You want to play at BR2? Pick up this squad. You want to play at BR3? Pick up this squad. You want to play at BR4? Pick up this squad. You want to play at BR5? Pick up this squad. You want to play Russia? Pick up this squad. Have I made myself clear? Pick up this squad. They're really good. They are by far the single best premium paratrooper squad in the game for any nation, bar nothing. Why are they so good, you may ask? If you don't know, the AS-44 Model 5 is a tech tree gun. It's right here. No, they are not like old premium squads that came with tech tree guns that were premium and stuck to them. This is just a tech tree gun. You can take off their primaries. You can play this paratrooper squad at every BR in the game. They are so good. They are the best. If you're going to play Russia, get this squad. Like, hell, if you don't play Russia, and you don't know what to get this sale, pick up this squad and start playing Russia. Like, this is the squad right here. This one. Now, for other options, the belt-fed DP, they're pretty good. They're BR5, so, you know, they're stuck at BR5, but it's a 5-man machine gun team. They can build heavy machine guns. It's kind of similar to the Maxim Tokarev, and that it's like a heavy machine gun you're going to be kind of slow with, belt-fed, 100-round, yeah. If you don't have BR5 Russia, you don't have RD-44s, you don't have Maxim Tokarevs, I think they're a good pickup. Like if, let's say, you're at BR4, getting ready to go into BR5, or you are at BR5, but you've gotten, like, the tanks and, like, the PPD-40, right? I think it's a good pickup. I think it's a good pickup if you're going to craft a premium lineup. They're a good option for that as well. Like, I like them. I'd recommend them. I just wouldn't recommend them as your only squad if you're not at BR5. Get the paratroopers. The SU-100's also pretty good. I've been meaning to make a video about that too. You are hull locked. You are kind of thin armored for your BR, but the gun itself, the 100 mil, is really, really good. So I would recommend it. It does fine against infantry, it does well against tanks. Theoretically, if you want to be Mr. Moneybags today, you could pick up the paratrooper squad, the DP squad, and the SU-100, and you have a fine lineup. Then you could throw on whatever you have to, like, fill out the gaps. To be honest, if you have, like, PPS-42s, you can play them at BR5 with no issue. So, you know, take a tech tree assault squad with PPS-42s and boom, there you go. You've got your 4 squads and you're set. But yeah, I would pick up the paratroopers if I was only picking up a single thing in this tech tree. I think the P63 is actually pretty interesting. I think that would be a cool pickup. If you're a collector, the PPSHs. Maybe the AKTs. Like, that's something else you could do. If you really wanted to make, like, a premium lineup, you could go the AKT squad, and then you could go, like, paratroopers, belt-fed DPs, and SU-100. And everything would be premium. You'd blow through the tech tree real quickly. You'd have all the toys. So that's an option if that's something that you were interested in doing. But yeah, paratroopers, absolutely. And I realize I forgot to mention them. These are the I think they're Australian actually. But this is the sniper squad from the Pacific, the American counterpart to the Japanese bush Wookiees that we looked at earlier. I like this squad. It's an engineer, 4 snipers. They all get the Enfield P14T. The only downside is that I don't like the scope. Like, it's not bad. I just find it kind of awkward to use because it's like a T-cross, which normally would be fine, but it also has a little bit that sticks up above the T. And when I first started using it, it was like, do I aim at the cross? Do I aim at the point? But once you get used to them, they're fine. It's a good rifle. I don't know. Most sniper squads basically feel the same to me. It's just, do you like snipers? They're BR2, so you can use them at pretty low BR. They're not bad. So let me know what you think down below. Let me know what you're going to pick up, if you're going to pick up anything. Most of these nations, I don't think there's enough that I would, like, want to pick up to make a lineup around. With Russia, there obviously is. I think with Germany, there probably is too, because MG35 squad. And then if you really wanted to, you could do the Suomi, the Garot, and the Focke-Wulf. Or if you were playing lower BR, you could do the TZ-45, the Gewehr 41, and, like, the Panzer 3G, although I personally would skip the Panzer 3G. I might just bite the bullet and play up to BR4 and get the flak, but nah, probably get the Stug 3G actually. Um, but I don't think that's as good of a lineup. Like these two together, the TC-45 and the Gewehr 41, that would be good. Or like at low BR, getting the Machado and the Panzer 38 could be a good combination. A not very expensive combination either. If you're gonna do that, I just feel like there's better stuff that you could get like singular squads. Like I think you'd be better off just getting the Panzer 3M. Like even if you're just starting the game, the difference between like having to play at BR2 with BR1 stuff, like I don't know. I don't think it's that bad. Like I do think it's a bigger jump than BR2 to BR3, but eh. Um, with the Americans, I mean the Turner SMLE and you could do the Sten, I guess, and you could do the you're combining things from different BRs. That's the issue. I usually try to look for multiple things in one BR. And I think that's the issue you're going to run into here is there's just not that much at the same BR. Like, you could do the Turner SMLE, the FP5, and the Churchill 3, but you'd have to have more than 4 squad slots to do that. So, like, eh. Eh. Really, if you're going to do a premium lineup, I think the most available one to just do a premium lineup with right now is probably Russia. But again, I know that that's going to be like a rarity. Most people are just going to pick up a single premium. So, as per usual, get out there, kick ass, take names, and win your games.